This was Montreal back in the early 1700s. It was known back then as Ville Marie. Only 7,000 people lived here. That included over 1,000 black slaves. To own a black slave back then was a status symbol.
It was mostly the bourgeoisie people of the upper class, the church, dignitaries, government officials, yeah.
And of course, rich businessmen. Michael Jarvis is a Montreal movie director. He is producing a documentary about one slave's tragic story. Her name was Angelique. Back in 1734, a Ville Marie businessman bought her from a Belgian trader. She had a secret love affair.
She was in love with this famous Quebec painter by the name of Claude Thibault, and they were in a relationship during that time in 1734, black and white. An interesting thing, she's a slave and this is a white free man.
But it's a story that takes a tragic turn. For some reason, Thibault's house caught fire. It spread to adjoining buildings, destroying a large part of the city.
Whereby consumed the Hotel Dieu along with 46 houses along St. Paul Street in Old Montreal, what is now Old Montreal.
Authorities believed Angelique had set the fire. She and her lover tried to flee Ville Marie. Angelique was caught and endured torture and torment.
They chopped off her hand and then put her in prison. They repeatedly tortured her and tried to get a confession out of her, and she maintained that she did not set the fire.
She died probably a worse death than one can imagine, having been hung, burnt, branded with a fleur-de-lis.
Rightime Productions have produced a movie about Angelique, a story they say that must be told. Few Canadians know that the buying and selling of black slaves was part of her heritage. It was certainly an emotional discovery for Montreal-born Michael Jarvis.
Hurt. Extremely hurt.
We've done something to just open up the history a little bit of where we're from and what's gone on in the past.
To find out that there was slavery here, it in some respects it made me feel uncomfortable. It made me feel used.
Montrealer MARYLNE AFFLACK plays the part of Angelique, a moving performance.
Tears came to my eyes when I saw her with the shackles and the whole thing, because she really performed the role.
The story about black slaves in Quebec is slowly coming to light. The Arts and Traditions Museum in Trois-Rivières has just opened a new exposition tracing slavery back to 1608.
We learn a lot of horrible facts like this one, but we put it in context, and that's it.
And go on.
And go on, yeah.
And another dark secret from the past. It's in the tiny community of Saint Armand, near the American border. Black slaves are buried here in what is now a horse pasture. There are no markers, no plaques. In fact, over the years, farm machinery has destroyed most of the graves. Only the rock remains.
And from that, we get the term Nigger Rock, because it's a black wall. We think that perhaps there are 2 or 3 bodies maybe left next to the stone.
The black community wants the burial ground protected and identified as an historic site. But they have met with strong resistance from residents all the way up to the mayor's office.
And it's an absolute shame. I don't understand how or why this relatively simple request turned into something so outrageously angry and outrageously vicious.
The producers hope their documentary about Angelique will bring a new awareness about black slaves and their part in history.
It's the least that we can do for them. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be able to be where we are today.
Ralph Noseworthy, Pulse News.